Hi, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. You've heard me talk about these books in my junk journals because I used the plates that came from them. This is my English countryside collection from 1904, and it was a series of books, and this is pretty much how I received them, which is why they were incredibly affordable. When I put them together, I actually have to make a new spine for them, which is why you'll see this one covered up with some crochet, some vintage crochet. Let me just put those aside there. They're kind of cool. Anyways, this is probably one of my very favorite ones because it has an English cottage on it. The rest are, or actually it might even be a little English church. It's got the cross on top or a schoolhouse. It's just beautiful. It's lovely. The Isle of Wight. The rest have mostly countryside scenes or seaside scenes. And this one is just, I mean, look at it. It's to die for. 121 years old. And I've got my vintage beads down the side here. And I was able to put what was left of the spine on this one right here. That's all that was left of it. So let me take you on a little journey of this. Every single page is authentic, antique, and vintage ephemera, and even all of the inserts, real treasures. If you can hold out to the end, I'll be as quick as I can. There's a lot of really wonderful surprises in here. So before I put it in my Etsy shop, which the link is below, hyperstamper.etsy.com, the original first pages, there's the same plate that is on the cover. I was going to pull it out and reuse it, but I think it needs to stay with its original owner. There's the original first publication page. This is a really cool page here. This is from the 1940s or 30s, sorry, September 1933. Look at that new car ad, fabulous. And a play, advertising for a play. And then back here is a plate from the 1800s. Isn't that beautiful? I just love it, a grand party. And then over here, I've got a 1950s plate there, and then this here is a 1936 page out of the First French Almanac. Look at that. How sweet is that? Just some really cool images there. Love it. If you don't speak French, you can put it into Google Translate and see some of the satirical humor that they had during the pre-war. This is a 100-euro banknote here, and this is Maple Grove Dairy from Grand Rapids, Michigan, from my friend Stacy. And then here is another wonderful plate from the 20s. Here's a 1940s or 50s baby card, this one, but look at this. It's a pop-up. That just really excites me. It really does. You could open it up and journal inside, but I wouldn't play too much with this because it's just so special, but I would say reuse it. I think it would be really fun. Just put a sticky note on the back with your note. Yeah, look at that. Sorry, I just can't get over how cute that is. It was hard to part with. I think it's one of the only pop-up ones I had, and it's pretty cool. Hidden journaling spots there, and this is just a little multi-page. It's the original first pages out of a little miniature book. Is that cool? The library edition. This is a plate from a 1920s Birds of North America book. That is the pine grosbeak there, and that's on glossy, which was pretty rare, but they've got the original discoloration there. And here's another bird plate here, vintage bird book. This was the page that had the little tab on it, the original little hawk's tab. So that's pretty neato pepito. And then over here it says batidos. I've never heard that word before. Here is a photograph from 1929, and this fella's name is Earl Farkin, or Farquhar. Dapper young man, seriously. And then this is a very old playing card that you could repurpose. If you Google upcycling playing cards, you'll see lots of fun ideas for your junk journal. This is a vintage canasta scorecard, most likely from the 50s, and another 1920s book page here. Look at that peacock. How fun is that? This is a 1930s Beatrix Potter plate. This owl has caught this little squirrel, but they're just chatting. I promise it ends well for the squirrel. Beatrix wasn't that violent. And then up here is just a really cool antique book page from the 1800s. It's naturally discolored and stained, and I love it. Little ink stains on there. I love it when there's natural ink stains. This here is from the 50s, and it's a side pocket. And in here I put an early 1900s, pre-1910 postcard from Maryland, Baltimore, and it was to, I can't figure out what that is, but I think it's Pennsylvania. I think it's PA. Is that neat? I think it's really pretty, colorful. That's a vintage Burr book page again. This is a box that my player piano rolls were in, and the music roll there, and I turned it into a journaling tag. Just thought it was kind of cool, and I found this in one of my antique books. It says The Open Book on it. Kind of cool. 1950s doily making book. This is vintage here. This is kind of cool here. That is actual vintage used Scotch tape, but you could journal in there, and that's from the 40s. And then this is a little journaling tag I made out of antique paper. That's from that wonderful little antique students game there. Those are two words I put together, yours and ours. And here's another English countryside page. Isn't that beautiful? The Needles. Those rocks are called the Needles. It's very beautiful. And in here, oh, this is really cool. Spectator Want ads from the 1920s, a newspaper there. This is a beautiful plate from the 20s as well, or 1902, sorry. Antique paper on the back. More journaling space there. And this is just a fun cluster in the 1955 Betty Crocker cookbook page. Bread making. And this is a wonderful 1896 page from the Sunday Reading for the Young. Look at that little girl picking flowers in the fields. Beautiful. And 1937 school book on bookkeeping. Another very early plate here. A man with his donkey going through the fields. This is one of those 1947 fashion pages here. Fashions from England, because this is an English book. And then we've got a Fun with Dick and Jane page. Very rare and hard to get, but here's a full one here. You'll see more of it on the flip side. I just put some vintage pattern paper in here because I thought that was fun. Another theater arts page here. And Rosamond from the 1913. This is a vintage tree book, and I made a pocket here that's got hand-typed research on it from 1888. And yes, I have thousands of these. So if anybody wants more when they buy a journal, just let me know. I'll send some down. This is, it came apart from its original backing. This is the cover of an antique book, but I couldn't use it because it had pulled apart and was unfixable. So I turned it into a journaling tag so you can have some hidden journaling inside. Neat, eh? Another 1950s theater arts book page. More Fun with Dick and Jane here. This is really fun. I love this. It's advertisement for sewing machines and, of course, Jell-O. I see a lot of advertising for Jell-O in the 30s and 40s. But this is really cool. This one's from the 59. Look at these awesome sewing machines. So you get to the modern one. I just love it. I love that so much. A lot of you have sewing machines if you're junk journalers. I don't sew in my journals. I wish I did sometimes, but I take the hard way. This is just a wonderful plate with mountains on it from an antique book. And it's beautiful. You can maybe collage with it. This is a student's piece here, designing what is actually a workplace. So it's kind of cool. And that's just a little antique paper on the back of a vintage image. And another vintage tree page here from a different book. This is from the 1800s down here. I turned it into a pocket. Favorite poems. This is a, oops, sorry, vintage ledger sheet. I don't know how I walk sometimes. Antique paper on the back of this wonderful 1930s children's book page. That's from the 40s there. And then looky here. Isn't this wonderful? This is early 1900s students page here, and the teacher has written her notes with red ink, which is, it's hard. Only basically teachers had red ink. There we go, and accountants. So this here is from 1913, Girls' Own Annual. Some beautiful images there. It's very old, so it's a little brittle. Fun little cluster there. Wonderful vintage music sheets here, antique paper here, another student's page here. And this is vintage cross stitch, needlepoint, one of those. And it was meant to be the upholstery for a chair top, but as you can see, it never did get finished. So I turned it into a pocket, and this is an early 1900s plate here, which is really cool. So I hope you love this one as much as I loved making it. These are very popular. Good luck, and come back soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.